2 years ago, I did something that I never thought I'd do in my entire life. I went from FL Studio to Cubase after 8 years of FL Studio. Why would I do that?
I don't know, man.
Why would I even bother changing DAW after so many years? I think it's a pretty good reason, and actually a really interesting one that has made me approach music in a whole different way. And before I move on, let me just say that every single DAW out there, you can make really good music. It just depends what your preference is and what you get used to. And this is not a video comparing Cubase to FL Studio or FL Studio to Ableton, Logic, whatever. This video is really about how this change kind of sparked my creativity and inspiration again and made me approach music in a different way. And by the way, comment down below what your preferred DAW is. I'd really like to know.
Shut up and get to the point!
I went from FL to Cubase 2 years ago when I went to music production school. In this school, they had Cubase as the digital workstation as a default. At this time, I was really in a bad place music production wise. I was struggling with creativity, inspiration. I was really struggling with discipline as well. In other words, I really started thinking about quitting music and doing something else.
Oh, no.
But I had this really interesting conversation with one of my teachers at the school, and I remember him telling me sometimes a whole new perspective or whole new workspace could help spark the ideas and spark the inspiration to produce new things and to approach it in a different way. And when I heard this, I kind of started thinking it as of a metaphor, like let's say you have a guy working 9 to 5 in an office job and he kind of hates the department, he hates his colleagues, things are boring, it's just nothing happening, you know? And then let's say if he didn't change his job, but he changed department, he got new colleagues, it will fuel him in a completely different way. Because sometimes we really need a change. And this was kind of how I started thinking inside of my brain after this conversation with my teacher. And I know it sounds really stupid to just change DAW because you lack creativity or inspiration.
It's really so stupid.
Why change? I've used FL for so many years. The workflow is super nice and everything. Why change DAW right now? And I also remember something that my teacher said, which I feel like is a really nice quote, especially for creative stuff. He said, sometimes big changes are necessary for bigger developments. For you, this might not be changing DAWs at all. It could be just changing the people you work with or the place you sit to produce music, another room or another place. For me at that time, I actually think it was. I needed something completely new and fresh to kind of reboot, if that makes sense. I felt like I was a beginner again. I didn't know anything at all inside of this program since I hadn't used it at all. I was just kind of exploring sounds and just having fun. Instead of always being in my head trying to like make the best thing that I've ever made, I actually just sat down there exploring sounds, way to do things, and I just had fun. And I think sometimes putting your skills aside and just trying to enjoy what you're doing and just really having fun making music and what your passion is, that's really important. That was something I had forgotten for a really long time. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to give you something. Anyway, I had to learn like the mechanisms of the program, of course, like the hotkeys and how everything was connected. The principles are, of course, basically the same for every DAW, but it just took some time to get used to. Besides that, I just had really fun trying to make some new music. It's really hard to explain, but I kind of approached my music in a whole different way. And I was always exploring, you know, I was getting into like more real instruments and stuff, and I think it's really important to just explore all the time. But it was more like the mental part of it. Like since it was a whole new workstation, my decisions kind of changed based on how I would have done it in FL Studio. It's really hard to explain, but the mental part of it was just different, and my approach towards my production was completely something else. The change for me was really important to develop my sound and my production further. And of course, guys, I'm not saying that this DAW is better than the other, but this was kind of the change that I needed at that time. I'm not saying that this is the right solution for you. I really just wanted to make this kind of video to tell you about how I got out of this mental hole that I was in and started producing music again with more creativity and more inspiration, approach it in a different way. And this idea may not apply to you at all, but maybe some of you watching, if you are struggling with inspiration and creativity and you're kind of like frustrated in your DAW or whatever, this might be an approach to try. Because I really think like just switching the whole idea of how you make music, what you're used to, can kind of spark things in another direction, if that makes sense. Again, I really hope this topic can help some people struggling with inspiration or creativity to make the music that they want. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this kind of content, let me know by subscribing to my channel. That is deeply appreciated as well. And I really hope that this topic can help some people get out of that struggle. I'll see you in the next video.